Good morning to day 2. Beautiful sunrise waking us up, so it's ready to get up and make some breakfast.
And with that very tight version of myself, welcome to the most beautiful day on the bike I've ever had. As you can see, the weather is calm and incredibly beautiful around here. We are at the small city of Arbon, from which we are starting our second day of our bikepacking trip to and around the Lake Constance. On day 1, we have found this amazing shelter/camping spot that even had a shower that we could use, and we did. Today we will cross 2 borders, going from Switzerland via Austria to Germany. So before wasting too much time, we are packing our stuff and head out in the direction of Austria. The first goal of today is to cross the Austrian border without problems, hopefully, fingers crossed, and cycle towards Germany to a small town called Lindau in order to have a proper second breakfast. So without further ado, here we go! It took no more than 10 minutes and we found ourselves at the edge of the lake, no one around, and incredible cycling infrastructure. It was about 7:30 or so in the morning here. The sun was out even though it was still pretty cold, and we were excited for what's about to come on this beautiful route from Arbon to Constance, pretty much only around the lake. As you can see, the planned route will span about 165 kilometers, which would mark the longest ride my girlfriend has ever done to this day, so let's see how she gets on with that. In contrast to day 1 though, today we should have very little elevation, which is very much appreciated. Yesterday we had about 2000 meters of elevation, which with all of the bikepacking equipment is quite a bit, yeah. The first 15 kilometers were a good mix of gravel and tarmac, going from completely empty city streets to just remarkable paths close to the water. And after less than 20 kilometers we have already reached our second country of the day, cycling over this wooden bridge and the border between Switzerland and Austria. In the distance we could already see the Austrian Alps and their snow-covered peaks. Today was a bridge holiday, as we call it in German, which means the day between a public holiday and the weekend, which many people will take off as well as to have a long weekend, and it definitely showed on the road today. There were many large groups of cyclists and bike tourists who enjoyed the first proper spring days of 2024, such as we did. After about 35 kilometers we have reached the city of Bregenz, also one of the largest cities on today's route. But that also meant our large breakfast feast was not far ahead and we only had about 10 kilometers to go. On this route we went towards the inner city part of Lindau, which is aptly named Inseli, as it's a small island, so yeah. This was a real tourist hotspot though, and the city seemed almost too crowded to enjoy, so we just walked around a bit, looking for a good bakery. There we had some cappuccinos, sandwiches and a couple of pastries, and before we knew it we were already on the road back towards the less crowded areas of the Lake Constance. On the way out of the Lindau region we came across many camping grounds, such as this one on the right here, and around those the cycling traffic got heavier and heavier, which you can see here. If you have watched the video so far, please consider giving me a sub, it really helps out the channel. There was one section of road that wasn't directly at the lake, which was a bit boring I have to say, but it was just about 10-15 kilometers and then we got back to the lakeside. Also, it was slowly but surely time to take another break to refuel and rest a bit. So not long after, our prayers for a good rest spot were heard and we found this shaded bench right at the lake. So we grabbed whatever we had left in our pockets and hung out for the better part of, yeah, like half an hour or so. Creating routes with Komoot can sometimes lead to some unexpected surprises, such as this one. Here we were routed onto an area on which driving students learn about traffic rules. So we had some fun riding a couple of circles around the course before heading on our actual route again. At this point we had about 45 kilometers left to go, cycling the last bit around the Lake Constance before getting to the actual city of Constance. That from here on should be directly on the other side to our left if we were to look at it, which we didn't on video. So before getting to the first, last and kind of only substantial climb of the day, we increased the tempo a bit as to make it before the sun starts to go down. But not long after we arrived at the mentioned climb, at which we had to do around 350 meters of elevation, however was rather reasonable at around 7 to 9%. Still fueled from the sugar, the vibes were still high and we were able to enjoy the scenery a bit before starting to descend into the greater Constance region. What was great throughout this area was that the cycling lane was always separated from the roads, so we didn't annoy the cars and the cars also didn't bother us really. Though after some time we encountered some of the rather rough gravel roads. However, luckily still my Continental GT5000 in the 30mm variation did not puncture on this second day either, so yeah, knock on wood. A couple of kilometers later we had our first major unintended detour. However, after some deliberation we decided to just go back and take a route as intended, as to not miss some of the beautiful scenery that we had planned to go through. And with that we have reached the outskirts of the city of Constance, so our last goal was to find the train station in order to be able to take the train back home to Lucerne. And here we are at the heart of Constance, right at the train station. So last but not least, this was our ride by the numbers. With all of the bikepacking gear that we had to bring along, this was quite a long day, especially after yesterday already. However, in conclusion, this was by far my favorite day on the bike yet. And with that being said, I hope you liked the video, and if so, please consider liking or subscribing. And in any case, have a great week. Bye bye.